Wow. Cool. Hi, everyone. I won't be a minute. We're just going to be getting set up. It's a weird place to do this, isn't it? Kids are downstairs, though, so you just have to bear with me. I know the light's not great, but if the light's not on, let me see if I can make a difference with this light. That might be better. Oh, I don't know if that is better. Is that better or worse? It's probably worse, isn't it? 1 second. Someone drop it in. Is that better, or is that just? It's just probably more straightforward like this, isn't it? Hang on, I'll keep that off. We're just going to wait for people to join us. Cheers, Rick. Thank you for getting involved on there. Hi, everyone else. Mick Greenwood. I believe you had a long, in-depth chat with Josh today and finally got set up. Bye, Carol. I hope you're all right. Guys, I'm just going to bang this over to Facebook because I think I am just... Well, just give me a sec. Let me just try and get this on. It's like a Q&A session, so I'm going to try and keep both screens open if I can. Share in a group. Group name. You should know this. There we go. Next. Bear with. I hope this works. Preparing to live stream into Facebook. It's already recording on the PC. Guys, please do me a favour. Get any questions that you have for us ready at the minute, because I know we've had quite a lot. It's been, just give me a sec, I cannot do two things at once. I know we've had quite a lot of questions. I know we've had quite a hectic day. I've looked at everyone's check-ins and stuff as well today that I've actually received, which was loads, which was really good to get. But I also think that we could answer a lot of them questions live because the ones that you've asked, I'm sure that other people are asking at the minute. I know people are worried about it being techie. And I know that people aren't really here normally for technology. You know, you've got someone stood there talking to you. So this is new, and the challenges that come with facing new things, new sort of ideas and stuff. And I was asking you to do all this extra work. I get that sometimes it can be stressful. So give me a sec. Nick's had a nightmare this morning, haven't you? Saw someone working out in the park. Hi, Nicole. Great to see you here. I can't actually see you, by the way, guys. Just so you all know, I say great to see you here, but I can't actually see you. If you're wondering what I'm doing, it's because I'm trying to share this on Facebook as well, so that people, oh, God's sake. Copy, paste. Let's have a look at that. Live, okay, coolio. I've also got, hi Damo, good to see you, mate. I'm glad you've jumped on here, pal. If you've got any questions, if this is the first time that some of you have jumped onto here, which I know it is for some of you, just let me see if I can just open this up. Good to see you, mate. I'm glad you've jumped on here. There we go. I told you it's a little bit behind on Facebook. I'm just going to drop that one over there, and I'm going to pick this one up here. Okay, we've got 3 messages in the chat here. No, Rick, stay on here. It's much better on here, actually. I'm only putting it on Facebook because I've had a couple of people that sort of struggle to get onto Zoom, and I'm trying to make it as simple as we can. Don't watch it on Facebook. If you have got Zoom, watch it on Zoom. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter where you're watching it. What we're trying to do is just give you the information that we think that people are going to need, especially at this stage. Like I said, so many questions today, so many questions off people, and I think it's because of all the change. We want to sort of talk to you about that. We want to sort of, you know, I've had some really powerful texts as well off the clients this morning. So thank you for you guys for replying. Everyone that did reply to my messages, those that didn't, I'm not a robot. I do send all my messages myself. So make sure when I do send you something, you do reply. But I wanted to sort of message everyone and just sort of come on here. I just had a sort of chat, and I think it actually helped me quite a bit. I was just thinking about, you know, how can I make this easier for you guys? And what can we do to make it easier for you to understand, like, our Kajabi? And people aren't, it's not just you that's saying this is very technical, it's a bit too techy. So I get a little bit frustrated with that because I'm like, look, just watch the video. God, it's not hard. Watch the video. Just press play, watch the video. But I understand that not all of you are here for just watching videos. And I do understand that sometimes it's difficult for you to buy into new things. Buying into new things is a big concept. It's a big problem, really, because you at the minute are sat here and all you guys watching, and you've already had this massive change thrust upon your lives in whatever it is that you do. So I can, whatever it is that you do, you know, whether it's you go to work normally, whether it's your kids are at school normally, whatever, all this change all at once is not good for us. It's not good for motivation. And that's why so many of you are finding on the report, on the feedback forms, almost everyone is struggling with stress and struggling with motivation. And one of the reasons is because when we do have change, if you imagine that your mind, your head is like a snow globe. And when there's loads of stuff like going around it, it's like someone shaking your head and all these little things are going around in it. And until that sort of settles down, you can't really focus on anything else. And it's cloudy and you can't really see the you know, whatever it is in the middle of the snow globe whilst all that's going on. So what I want to sort of try and do tonight, and what I think Josh has actually done the presentation. I don't actually know. I hadn't seen this presentation because he's been busy as well today. I hadn't done it, but I just thought whilst Josh isn't on here, I'll just have a quick chat with you about the concept of this and understanding change and why it's necessary for us to change, but also what's actually going on in your brain when this happens. That maybe you think is you not doing very well, or maybe you take it on yourself to think, I'm just not into that, or it's just not me. And maybe you sort of make these very strong statements from the off that's like, this isn't, you know, it's not for me. It's not for me. No, guys, and I completely get that. And I completely understand how some of you will be feeling that this just, you know, me saying, jump on the app, jump on Zoom, jump on Kajabi, jump on this. I understand that sometimes that isn't for you. But what I want to sort of try to sort of see is whether or not I can challenge that thought process to that. Mindset and motivation is something that I don't know if you guys know about me and about Josh and about what I sort of do for and what I actually do. But a lot of my stuff, if I didn't do mindset every day of my life, I would literally, well, you lot would not be here either. One, we wouldn't have a business and we wouldn't be able to focus, and I certainly wouldn't be smiling as much as I probably do. So I think it's really important that I sort of try and pass on to you my background with mindset before we start. So hear me out. So obviously, you know, I've always been sort of quite okay at fitness, and I've always sort of seen fitness as like something that I wanted to sort of pursue, and that's why I got into it so many years ago. But then more recently, is that once we'd actually achieved something and moved to the bigger building, personally, I found that quite difficult. From a mindset point of view, it was such a massive change for me. It was such a massive change for the business, such a massive change in absolutely everything that I'm doing. Probably a little bit similar to probably how some of you guys are feeling right now. Yeah, everything all of a sudden has just gone, boom, flipped on its head. Your normal everyday life has changed. You know, your normal sort of weekly routine, your normal times, your normal clients, your normal sessions, whatever it is that you normally do has flipped up. And what happened to me when we first moved, and some of you will notice, some of you won't, but what happened to me when we first moved is I just really struggled with that. I just could not get my head around the fact that I'd worked up to a point of like getting myself to the move. And then once that move actually happened, I didn't really have a very good way of controlling my mindset on the back of that. And the reason for that I put down to, Josh has just texted me saying ready when you are. Someone better tell him that we're already live, aren't we? Give me a sec. Jump on. I've just texted him saying we're allowed to jump on. But yeah, so what I was trying to sort of get to there is that at that point, we had all these changes happen, and I felt exactly like you feel now. I did. I really did feel like, you know, things was a little bit overwhelming. There was so much new stuff that I had to do. And for you, if you're watching accounts and stuff like that, they will tell you that there was so many new concepts and new problems, new things that I had to come up with finding a big solution for, right? But here was the thing, is that at that point, I knew that I had to change the way that I was dealing with this situation. My situation wasn't going to change. It's literally like you guys now. How you find training at the minute, how you found it this week, how you find it next week, isn't going to change for at least an 8-week period. We know that. We're pretty confident that this will not change now. This is how it is. Hi, Josh. So he is here. Put your speaker on. Yeah. So yeah. So dealing with Josh, you can just listen for a minute and you can jump in a sec because I'm halfway through. So
I'm rubbish at listening, Jay.
yeah. So basically, what I was saying is that this thing that's gone on at the minute for everyone is put us into a position that we are forced to make certain changes in our life, and when that happens, one, it's very scary. Two, it can be quite intimidating, and three, what we do is revert back into ourselves and we go on the defensive. And we actually go on a defensive, and that defensive sort of mode that you have, that sort of it's not for me. That answer that I get, it's too techy. It's not for me. That's what I used to do all the time. This, oh yeah, Josh does that. That's not for me. And I'd shirk my responsibility because it was something that threatened my belief of how I was and how well I coped in these situations. And I think that happens for a lot of you. You know, there's a lot of you at the minute that are really sort of, you've already had this massive change, and that's what I've just been saying, Josh. Everyone's had this massive change that they've been forced into. What I don't want to happen is that me give you something that makes that even more difficult for you to deal with. So I want to be able to sort of try and use these videos to help you sort of rethink your mindset at the minute. And for those of you that's never been in this position before, for those of you that's never had this amount of stress, which is the majority of our clients, this amount of disruption, I should say, in routine, this is going to be, you are going to need to do something new. If you don't do something new, it will be very difficult for us to actually maintain, your motivation in the gym. And I was just having a conversation downstairs with Shah, and she was like, you know, why do you get frustrated with it? And I'm like, because I want everyone to be ready. When we open them doors again in 8 weeks' time, I want everyone to be fit and ready. And I know that there's things that they have to be doing in order for that to happen. Things that you've never had to do before, changes that you have to make that you've never really had to consider. And if you don't do them, I know that you're putting yourself at greater risk of not being there when I open the doors. And that's probably why it frustrates me. Now, that ain't a financial thing. That's a hard work for the past 7 years, 8 years with you guys thing, you know. I really do want you to, yeah, hopefully, Rick, open in 8 weeks time. I really do want you to sort of have a think about this, because mindset, I was saying you don't really know my story, is that I was saying, Josh, that when we actually moved, I really struggle with it, with clarity. I really struggle with adapting to change. I really struggled personally with pressure, stress, structure, getting up on a certain time, going to work at a certain time, you know, knowing what day and things like that. And I think that what I had to do was work very hard for about 8 months. You guys have got a few days. But what it was is I had to work very hard every single day to try to accept that I was going to have to make some changes. That I had to accept that this wasn't an ideal situation for me. We undercut some things. I had things that I had to sacrifice, things that I was going to have to do, things that I was going to have to change every day of my life. And without me doing that, it wouldn't have left us in a position to be open today. So what I wanted to sort of, and Josh, like I was just saying, I haven't seen the presentation, but what I wanted to sort of make sure that I sort of said before we started is that this big change that you've got in front of you right now, you've got two options. You're either going to do one of these two things. You're either going to text me back and say, I'm no good at that, that's not me. Or you're going to look at the sort of flip side of that and you're going to say, I can do this. You know, challenge that belief. And this is what we're going to go into now, is that the belief of I'm no good at that, that's not for me, it's too techy, I can't keep up, it's too hard, whatever. Challenge that question. You know, understand that that is a statement that you're putting your health on. You know, that is something that you must believe to be 100% accurate, because if it's not accurate, you're lying to yourself about it. I talk about the story and your story and things like that, and I say that them people that tell me that this is just too difficult, what you're actually saying is that my health, I shouldn't say that, but what I should say is that what I feel is that you may not be clear on your goal or your situation at the minute. And that's what we want to try and get into tonight. So, Josh, I think if you've got slides, mate, I think we should get into it.
I'll chuck them on, yeah. Just building on that, though, Jay, just before we start, I think that it's really important to make the point that there's a lot of sort of opinions that would say that what you're feeling, whatever you feel like your story is your reality. You know, what you're saying is going to limit you, that will limit you. Not because that will limit you, but because that's what you believe. So we'll get into that a little bit tonight as we go. But if you're telling yourself, I can't do this because X, Y, Z, those things are going to stop you. There's not two ways about it. They will be the things that stop you. Whether they would have stopped you if you told yourself, no, I can do that, is very doubtful. I think that in most cases, if you tell yourself, I'm going to find a solution to this, and you work to find a solution to it, then you'll be able to overcome whatever those challenges are. If you're not doing that, if you're not looking for the solution and you're just sort of accepting, I can't do this, so I need a different route, then it intertwines with your story. It becomes your story. It becomes what you tell yourself. And that story then becomes a thing that stops you from getting to where you want to be, or feeling like how you want to feel, or achieving what you want to achieve. So, yeah, let me just share the screen. Jeremy,
this is also our Q&A time and Q&A session. So if you have got any questions, please feel free to drop them into either the chat box or into the Facebook, whether it's on this or whether it's on anything else from the week. If it's not on mindset and motivation, we'll move it to the back and we'll answer it at the bottom end. But for now, this is where we're at. Okay.
All right, guys, hopefully you have seen last week's webinar, even if you didn't get a chance to be in, because that was really important. And again, all of these webinars are going to build upon each other. So it's going to be building from last week today. Now, it's not a massive issue if you've not watched it yet, but guys, honestly, make sure that if you've not, go back onto the app and go and watch that. So last week, just to reiterate, we covered finding clarity. You know, what do you want to achieve and why? And we covered that fairly quickly. We're going to go into a bit more detail on that today. But really important that your starting point is that you know what you want to achieve and why. We then create a focus, because what that clarity allows us to do is say, okay, well, we've got the clarity now. What do I actually want to achieve, and what do I need to do to achieve that? What habits do I need to put in place? So we set a plan. We've got a daily plan. What are the things that I need to do every day, every week, to make sure that I'm getting to where I want to be? And we discuss motivation and starting to take action, and how you will become motivated by doing it. If you're waiting for motivation to happen, it's not going to come. It's not going to just turn up. And if it does just turn up, and that's what you're relying on, that's going to be the issue. We covered all of that in last week's webinar. So today is very much building on this and getting a little bit more in detail. Today, what we're going to do is look at your excuses. We're going to break through all of the excuses that you've got. At the minute, like what we've just been talking about, those excuses have got the chance to stop you. What we're going to try to do before they even come up, before they become a problem, and before it gets to 2-3 weeks down the line and you say, well, Josh, I got off my plan because this happened. This got in my way, so I couldn't achieve what I want. Right now, I'm going to be telling you that that's not going to be the case in a few weeks, because we're going to put things in place. So these excuses that have stopped you in the past absolutely won't be there this time. We're going to look at your story. Jamie's just been talking about it, but what is what's really getting in the way? Where are you at in terms of what do you really want to achieve? Is the thing stopping you the fact that you're just not that bothered about that? You've not really aligned it with your goal, so it's not one of your priorities. Because when things are a priority, a real priority that is aligned with what you're wanting to achieve, then you are going to be motivated to do it. You're going to be focused, and God knows that for me and Jamie, I know that the last couple of weeks we've had some priorities, and I know that we've both sat in an office for however many hours every day to get that done, because it needs doing. And we know that all in all, doing that, yes, it might not be great to do at the time, but we know that doing that is moving us towards where we want to be. So, making sure that you're aligned and you understand what your priorities are. Building confidence, courage, and excitement. This is something that I think we probably don't put enough emphasis on in some of the webinars that we've done before. But guys, confidence and courage, two massive, massive parts of motivation, massive parts to you achieving your goals. But also excitement. What we have to look at is that by being here on this webinar, watching this video right now, if you're on the 8-week home workout plan, then I guarantee you are nearer to achieving your goals than you've ever been before. Because all of this stuff is the stuff that you've been waiting to find. Now we're telling you how to do it. So now follow the process, follow the steps, and you will get to where you want to be. And we're just going to set up to create that success. So guys, looking at excuses, what has stopped you before? And what I want you to do now, actually, guys, if you've got a minute, please just drop it into the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on Zoom, drop it into the comments. What are the biggest things that have got in the way of your diet before, of your training plan before, that have stopped you achieving your goal? Sometimes it's just not knowing enough. It's just knowledge. But what I'm saying right now is that definitely won't be an issue moving forward. So what else? Is it time? Is it anything like that? Jamie, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so just on this one, guys, is that we say excuses and it sounds like a strong word, because these can be, you can call them excuses, you can call them obstacles, you can call them absolute blocks, things that stop you. This is an excuse, is something that you might see as something that, oh yeah, but it's not an excuse because it's true for me. And I think that it's really important that you sort of understand what we're saying is that excuses can be anything. It doesn't have to be an excuse that's not true. We're not asking for excuses that's not true. We're asking for what is the thing that stopped you? You know, what is the same thing that gets in the way? What is the same thing all the time that maybe you just haven't found a solution for? Maybe it is motivation. Maybe it is your mindset, willpower. I don't know. You tell us, because without being clear on the thing that stopped you, how are you going to have a plan to overcome that? Without having that very clear sort of, this is my issue, then and right now, what is your issue? What is the thing that's stopping? Is it because all this is new? Is it because it's too techy for you? Is it because you haven't got time? Is it because you're just not into that? Is it, you know, what are the things that you say? What do you say is your reason? Like, and if you do have a pen and paper, guys, or you've got, maybe you haven't got your notes on your phone, but if you're watching as a computer or whatever, write this down. Like, write down, give me one thing that you say is your thing. Josh, your screen share's stopped, mate.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, it's back on. It's all right. So yeah, what are the things that you've said? So, you know, and then we need to sort of look at that. So if you've got reasons and things that are really strong for you at the minute, real strong sort of beliefs that has stopped you from achieving this so far, stopped you from getting as involved as you wanted to. It might be something like an injury as well. I just noticed that, you know, there will be all of you will be sat there with your own story. This won't be a group thing. It'll be like, it's different for me because, and that'll be why.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on.
So, I mean, like Sam there, time and work commitments. It's something that we see all the time. Me and Jamie definitely have used that one before. We've had that. And I will call it an excuse because, again, these are the things that you can identify as getting in the way. So in the diary, if we're working through the diary with any of you, we call them obstacles, call them challenges. But today I'm going to call them excuses because this is what you're telling us. I couldn't do that because this got in the way. Well, when it gets to that point, it's no longer an obstacle. It is now an excuse. If it has stopped you and it's got in the way, then it becomes an excuse. So make time, opportunity, can't be bothered, you know, wrong mindset and things. Again, what we need to look at is all the things that we can put in place that allows us to break through this. And the first step, and this is a harder step in probably everything that we talk about on any of these webinars. The hardest part of it, nothing to do with your training, nothing to do with your diet. Honestly, for me, it's that taking control. It's that accepting, hang on a minute, there is more control that I've got here. There is more that I can do, because that's extremely difficult to do. So especially if you've been doing it a certain way for a long time, stepping back and saying, this can be done differently, this doesn't need to be this way, is extremely difficult to do. But as soon as you've done it, you can start to take action into putting things in place that allow you to just deal with things better. So guys, you know, these excuses are things that have stopped you in the past. No time. Yes, time can become a massive issue, but believing that you've no control over the amount of time and where you put your time and where you put your focus and where you put your energy, that's probably not true. There is probably more control that you can take over that. So again, just looking at this, we'll come back to some of the comments. We'll sort of both be flicking through the comments as we go through this webinar. So moving on. All I wanted to put this slide in for, and I know that Jamie, you might want to speak about the emotional side of change, but what I wanted to do was just put a few sort of key little graphs in there and a few key things that you can look at and see that this stuff that we're saying and the things that we're doing, it's not that we've come across this and we're thinking this is a good idea. Yes, we have spent a hell of a lot of time and a hell of a lot of effort working on this ourselves and making sure that when something goes off plan, you can respond to it, you can react to it, and you can deal with these changing situations. But there's structures to this. There's things that, you know, has been researched, have been looked at, really strongly researched in some areas, or at least been used extremely effectively across all different types of.
I think the emotional cycle of change is a good one to get into. And the reason that I asked Josh to put the emotional cycle of change in right now is because this is literally you lot right now. I promise you now, every single person watching this now, you are on this. This is the psychology behind it. This is well documented psychological research of what happens during the time of change. When someone has that epiphany moment, and you guys watching it have probably done that because you're already like, you know what? I'm going to keep up my fitness and health. I'm going to join the webinar and I'm going to be keeping up with my fitness and health. And I'm going to actually make sure that I am going to do this. I can do this. And they were the things that we said last week or 2 weeks ago. Then what happens is the next bit. So that's your sort of uninformed optimism. Then your next bit is this bit where it's sort of informed pessimism, and you sort of
that you know this, Jeremy, because I didn't put it big enough for you to read.
Yeah, informed pessimism, and this is the part where you're being told all these new things, and this is where most people give up and most people quit. And this is the difference between some of you that will have, I don't know, let's say some of you that will see them excuses that we've just been talking about, and you'll cling on to them. I can't do it. I'm too busy. It's not for me. It's this. Because I've told you that there's loads of change about to happen. You've got to get through this next bit. It's a couple of weeks, probably 2 or 3 weeks now, where new things will be there all the time. And it's your ability to be able to deal with change that will really influence whether you finish this and you become successful. Because they call this part, where it's sort of informed pessimism and stuff, they call this next bit the valley of despair. Because everybody wants to give up during this phase. Everybody does it. There'll be a point where that thing that you've just said is your excuse will feel drowning. It will feel overwhelming. It will really pull on you. And it'll be like, it's different for you, Jamie. You're busier than the next person. And I get that some of our clients at the minute are having a fucking shit show. And I understand that because we're going through it as well ourselves. And I do know that there is some things that are massive obstacles that we need to find new ways around. Maybe they'll stop us for a day or two, but then they won't the next day. And it's whether or not you just think, fuck it, and jump on the fuck it wagon, as I say, or whether you actually get through it. And then you start to see the informed optimism now, because you start to see little things happening, little things making the change, little things that are sort of becoming truth in what we've said, if you do what we say we do. And I really sort of blag on about these sort of these videos and the webinars and understanding this program, because without understanding what we're talking about, without actually joining these webinars, without going into it, without sitting and listening to the psychology and stuff behind it, when you get that first problem, when you get that obstacle, that's where that decision will happen. You'll either be pulled into that old habit, you'll either be pulled into that old excuse, and that will be overwhelming for you, or you'll be like, oh wait, shit, this is exactly what Jamie was talking about. This is one of them times that, yes, it's a big obstacle for me, but it's not going anywhere. This obstacle of like time, business, stress, whatever, not having a gym, all them obstacles at the minute, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be here. So you will either choose to sort of take upon this challenge, or you will use that, what we've just been talking about, as Josh says, an excuse to fall away from it. Because we know that obstacle is still going to be there tomorrow. You know, you're going to have attack it and try and get through that obstacle, or you're going to retreat and you're going to be like, oh yeah, but it's different for me because, and then you're going to pass me that sheet of paper that you've just wrote down, and it's going to have all these things that always stop you. You know, all these things with technology and things like that always stop you. So, by the way, once you get through that next bit, it's success. But that's how it works. So yeah, just
cool. Carol, obviously, just looking at that technology, you know, getting used to the new technologies and things. And I completely get that. I completely understand it. But again, what we're looking at is, would that be a reason for you to not achieve what you want and where you want to get to? And for me, absolutely not. And I'm sure for you watching this, you know that that's not going to be something that stops you. Other things that we can do, yes, we can spend a little bit of time trying to get your head around the basics of it. But ultimately, what things do you need to do? Well, we know that you need to sort of get your head around these webinars, be watching some of these and be learning this. This is going to be dead important, but we'll always make it as easy as possible for you to access. And if you are ever struggling, you know, just fire a message over. I can't access that webinar. I don't know where it is. I don't know if I've got access to everything. We can always jump on a call and we can always just go through this sort of thing. So
Kieran dropped a message on Facebook that said Amy's sweet tooth, but I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff, Kieran, in front of the fact that she's got a sweet tooth that's a bigger problem at the moment. Let's move on to the next thing.
So guys, all I was doing was trying to make a point that this stuff isn't just because we feel like that's worked for us. It's the best way that, the best ways that we've used, but it's based on a hell of a lot of methods that have been proven, researched, studied for a hell of a long time, and used extremely effectively across all walks of life. Most of the books, half of the books that I sort of look at and things are business. I don't really look at many books on training now. I think I've read the majority of them. And it's about just sort of getting that mindset and things.
We need to be shimmying on, mate. Okay.
Well, you need to stop talking then, don't you?
People enjoy listening.
Guys, so your new story. What won't stop you making progress? Why are you here? Last week we said write down what is a reason that you are actually wanting to do this program. Why do you train at all? What are the things that are going to be causing you to make that decision to actually get started? And everyone, we spoke about getting fit, getting healthy. That's not really an answer. It needs to be a little bit deeper. So if you didn't write it down last week, what I want you to do is make sure that you write it down. Because when you write something down, straight away it becomes real. It becomes more powerful. You make that bit of a commitment to yourself. Even if your accountability is not to anyone else yet, write down what your actual goal is, why you're really here. And that gives you the accountability at least to yourself. Yeah. Obviously, working with us. Ideally, you'll be speaking to us so that we can keep you accountable for that goal as well. Who do you want to be? I know, Jamie, I'll pass this over to you. Yeah. I know that you wanted to speak about legacy.
Yeah, basically, this week I finished another little book that was just about taxi driver number 2. I don't know if anyone saw the Facebook post about taxi driver number 2, and it was literally saying that I'm quite into these sort of things, by the way. I'm a bit like my mum in that respect, that sort of belief and who you are and your sole purpose and what you're being and your legacy. So you will have to bear with me, but give me 2 minutes and it will become very clear. So if you imagine that every single day you are writing your own story, you are the one person holding the pen and with the blank sheet in front of you, because you make action on whatever it is that you do. You decide how you feel. You've heard me say that a few times, I know, but you are literally every single day. If there's a book being written about your life, you are the author. You are the person that will write down this. And this is a bit deep, and people sometimes look at me a bit funny when I say this, but if you was to die tomorrow, how would people remember you? What would they say about you? I know, yeah, and especially at this time, but what would your legacy be? How would they remember you? How would your kids remember you? How would your friends? How would your mum and dad? How would your brother? How would everybody remember you if everything was to finish tomorrow? How would you leave your legacy? And I know it sounds a bit over the top, but what I'm trying to say here is that if there's something constantly stopping you, what this is about is like trying to understand your values on things. What is important to you? What is your story? Why are you here? What is the main reason? What is your reason for being here every day? What do you want to be fit for? What do you want to be healthy for? And how would you have that sort of legacy be? And I sort of question this a lot, and it gets me, I think, because I know I work a lot, and it makes me question sometimes my judgment and sometimes my priorities off that simple question. That what is your legacy? How will you be remembered? And if you are confident enough to sort of write that down now and be like, you know what, people will remember me as being exactly who I want people to remember me being, then fine. But if there's things that you want to happen, things that you want to fix, and it's really important to you that you're seeing like that, then you have to start to formulate a plan for you to write that story, for that page to be clear, and you to start to write the person that you want to be down on paper.
Yeah. 100%, guys. And just building on that, just looking at that, who are the people that are important to you, and how do you want them to see you? Now, this might be people that just looking for support from other people that you work with, or it might be family. But you've got these key relationships in your life, and what you need to do is know exactly how to interact with those people. You will have something in your mind of how you want those people to see you, whatever that relationship is, whatever that interaction is. Now, making sure that you act in a way that's in accordance with how you want to be seen, is massively important. Like Jamie's saying there, what's your legacy? If something was to happen, how would they describe you? Would they describe you the way that you want to be described? Because that's going to be based on your actions, what you do every single day. You guys, you can wake up in the morning
and just let me jump in, Josh.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone's actually going to say, oh, it's because he was too busy at work, he wasn't who he wanted to be? That's probably not just I sort of, not that this is personal, but I know that there's things that may seem like massive obstacles for you at the minute might actually be seen as not so important. Now, it's really difficult when we try to comprehend this at the moment, because work is so hectic for everyone, and I get it, and everyone's really stressed and under pressure and needs to be performing well, and that demands time and energy in work. But I also believe that we're not going to be coming out of this situation for quite a few weeks. So let's start to plan things that you can be behaving differently. You can be setting things in place. You can be trying to make sure that you are doing whatever you can to represent the behavior patterns and the person that you want to be.
100%. And guys, the diary that I actually use at the minute.
I think it's the most you've ever agreed with me, Josh.
I know. It's probably because you've got that from me somewhere.
Yeah.
But guys, the diary that that I use at the minute says what are the key interactions that you have today? How do you want to behave in that situation? You literally predict your situation that you're going to struggle with, and you decide how you're going to interact, because you can see what obstacles are coming up in most cases. Decide how you're going to act, because that is built on how you want people to see you. But guys, you can reaffirm that every day. Say, this is how I want to act in that situation. This is how I want to be seen. All across board, it's going to be massively important. And again, it does come back down to fitness, comes back to nutrition in terms of the choices that you make. You've got to align with your values. You've got to be really clear on who you are, what your story is, what's actually stopping you, how you want to be seen. If you can align all that, the decisions get much, much easier. So confidence, just wanted to talk about some of these things and just pull it back round a little bit into a positive now. It's been positive all the way through, but I know that it gets a bit serious when you're having to question yourself, question, well, what is the story? What is holding me back? How do I want to be seen? You have to ask some of these challenging questions. With confidence, all you need to do is be completely honest with yourself. Be honest in terms of what do you want to achieve? What are you willing to do to achieve it? And are you being realistic in terms of where you can get to? If you're being realistic, then self-belief is absolutely necessary, absolutely should be there. And if it's a conversation that we've had as coaches and we say, yes, you can get there, then you better believe that you absolutely can get there. You can be confident enough to do it. But again, honesty in terms of, well, what are the obstacles? Are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And sometimes not being willing to do that is absolutely fine. It doesn't mean that you can't make progress.
I had this as well personally myself. And here's where this went for me, is that the reality of it was that what I found to be important, what I said was important and everything else, it wasn't really true. I used to say to myself, oh, it's really important to me that I get myself a six-pack again, I get this. And the truth is that my value of that wasn't ever really as high as what I wanted it to be. So making sure that you're sort of, how you say you want to do something, how much you say you want this goal, you've got to be dead clear, and you've got to value it more than the other. You've got to value it more than the thing that's maybe getting in your way at the minute. And if it doesn't, it's fine. Honestly, people get worked up on this and like, oh, I wish I could just have the motivation to get up at 6 a.m. and go and do the exercise. But if that isn't you, then just accept that, and we'll find a new plan to make sure that you can develop through it. If you're not the type of person that is a morning person, or if you're not the type of person that wants to count calories or whatever, just be honest. We just say, that's what I'm willing to do, this is what I'm not willing to do, and we will formulate that plan around with you, and you yourself will be able to do it. And you know what else? Sorry again to keep going, but confidence comes from constantly like sort of seeing progression and seeing achievements and seeing winning. If you don't have that honesty in the initial plan and initial goal, and then you will always see yourself as a failure. That's not going to help build your confidence. If you are not clear on what you're willing and what you're not willing to do, then seeing that seeing that every single day, like, I'm going to track my calories today. 100% I'm going to track my calories today. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to go on the webinar today. 100% I'm going to go on a webinar today. But if that's really not seen as valuable or not seen as important to you, and you don't do it, then every day, that's what you're going to say to me. I'm just no good with technology. I'm just no good at tracking calories. And again, this full thing comes back round to that story and sort of things that you're saying. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, guys, it comes back to what can you achieve, what you're willing to do, what will show results. Not wanting to go to the extremes of getting a six-pack is fine. not wanting to go to the extremes of tracking your food to the point where you know every gram that you've eaten and you're having certain meal times and you're prepping your food and taking it in advance and things can be fine. It's just got to align with what you're trying to achieve. If it does, you know, if you come in and you say, Josh, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be in the best shape I can possibly be in 8 weeks, I guarantee that I can get you in amazing shape. But it just means that you've got to actually be willing to do that. Are you willing to do it? If yes, then we're fine. I've been working with people this week that are well within diets and cuts and trying to get back into really good shape or get into really good shape or move forward on their own sort of fitness journey and training and things, and realizing that you then have to train at home straight away. It's like, can this be done? As soon as I say, guys, this can absolutely be done, this isn't something to worry about, it just means that you need to change your routine, and that is complete honesty from me, then people just say, yeah, you know what, I'll change my routine and start to move forward. So be confident that the things that you think are holding you up absolutely won't be. If we get up, everything that we've spoke about so far in this webinar, you get that right, you get honest, you align your values, then your confidence is going to be there, and it should be there if you want to achieve it. So courage, sometimes it is hard to do. Sometimes it does come down to making decisions that you don't want to make. We spoke last week about habits, about making it easy and obvious. Sometimes it is going to be the harder decisions that come about. It's going to be that if you want to make progress, you have to make that decision that's harder. A little bit, there's some aspects that are easier at the minute because we can't really go out and eat and things like that anyway. But certainly things like not getting takeaways and stuff like that, make them decisions, guys. Just accept that you have to be saying, I'm not going to do that. The biggest one though with courage is being willing to leave your ego at the door, as they say. Being willing to say, I am not at that point yet. I'm not ready to do that. That is not as important for me, especially when you see all the fancy stuff on Facebook and on Instagram of people doing the really advanced exercises or the, going to the nth degree in terms of the meal prep and in terms of getting to, different levels on certain training modalities and things. Just getting it done, getting the work done to a level that you're at requires a hell of a lot of courage, especially when it comes to stepping back and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do that exercise. Being honest with yourself and saying, I'm not going to do that because I'm not ready to do that yet. As that's going to be a massive factor.
And also, I do think that this is pretty much a similar sort of thing as well to confidence. Being sure of the plan, understanding the plan, it will help give you the courage and the belief that you're going to be able to do it. Because when you don't understand what's in front of you, you don't really understand the concept. Maybe you catch a little bit of something, know a little bit of something. But
guys, if you struggle with it, drop it in the comments. Rick, I've seen that you've obviously put it in.
Yeah.
But honestly, go on, sorry, Jay.
Yeah, so having this sort of, we call it courage and we call it confidence and things like that, but we've got to make sure that you're able, like a lot of people say to me, there's no way I'm going to let my mates see me go to yoga. And there's no way I'm going to do meditation. There's no way you're going to see me at 7 a.m. going for a jog because people will say this about me. I'm worried what he's going to say. I'm worried what she's going to say. They are not you. Do not let somebody else, and that was another point of my story early on this week, wasn't it? When I say this is you writing a book of your life, don't let somebody else, taxi driver number 2, on the end credits, that's what the point, you're the main character, and then you've got all these different characters, bouncer number 1, taxi driver number 2, who you allow to have an opinion that might sort of maybe sacrifice your main goal because of somebody else's opinion, not you. So if you are that person that allows other people's opinion, other people's how they feel about you, what they're going to say about you, what will they say about me, if that's the type of, if that's something that you're concerned about, then you need to cut that out. Because when people do talk about your legacy, no one's going to be listening to taxi driver number 2. They're just going to be listening to the main characters, and they're just going to assume the main character. No one remembers taxi driver number 2, so don't let them interfere with your story.
100%. Guys, this is a perfect example of this. How many times have you been somewhere where you're either trying to build muscle, so you know that you're in a bit of a calorie surplus, and people are saying, straight away, you've gained weight, aren't you? Or then the exact same, you can be the exact same weight at both of these occasions. And I've literally been here in the last sort of couple of months. within the last year anyway, I've been the same weight. And the first time I got to that weight, people were saying, hey, you're putting weight on quick. The second time when I was on the way back down, people were saying, you're losing weight really quick. Are you all right with everything? And again, you know, it was all aligned, but sometimes that used to be the thing that would stop people from achieving the goal. And guarantee that most of you, the reason that I'm bringing that up is that I deal with this all the time. I used to sit for the first 5 years as a PT, I'd sit in the office and someone would change their goal based on what one of the mates had said to them because they were doing
all the time.
Well too quick.
Yeah, it's all the time. Someone says one comment like, "Oh, you look like you put a bit of weight on, mate," and you're like, "Fucking hell." Not me. People say that to me every day. But luckily, I aligned my goals a while ago.
Guys, just focus on yourself, though. Get clear and focus on yourself. If you can do that, then obviously, you know, it's aligned to drop your ego. The only other thing that I wanted to mention on that, it's like maybe less relevant at the minute, but maybe not in terms of if your other half wants to get a takeaway and you're the person that's usually instigating that, but you're trying to be a little bit healthier. If you've made that decision to start making changes, then be willing to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that today.
I got a good idea. Not a good idea. That sounds bad, doesn't it? But I got another point.
Depends what your idea is.
Yeah. Basically, what a few years ago I went to listen to this sleep coach, and he was saying that it's the same thing. You know, you stay up because you haven't seen someone and things like that, and it makes you feel bad the day after because you're tired. Because you go to bed at someone else's time, or you wait for someone to get from work, or you have your tea at different times, or you have to eat with the kids and you have to do this, and all these decisions that are difficult and probably socially unacceptable in some cases. But sometimes if they're against your goal, that comes back to what you're willing to do, doesn't it? So yeah, move on, Josh.
Guys, excitement. Genuinely really sort of short bit now. There's I think there's one slide after this. Think about it though, genuinely, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, 12 months. Physically and mentally and in every aspect, where could you be? Most positive situation possible, being realistic, aligning your goals, knowing what you want to achieve. Where could you be in that time? Genuinely, in 8 weeks, I guarantee that whatever limitation you've put on yourself is probably not far enough. You could probably get further on in this 8 weeks or 12 weeks than you think you can. Apply that to the next 6 months or 12 months. And guys, genuinely your life will change by just making these steps, making these changes moving forward. If you're wanting to get stronger, fitter, apply yourself every day towards that goal. Be really clear on what your goal is, but I guarantee that you'll be where you expect to be as long as you're doing this and this becomes habit and this becomes a sort of priority. If it's up there and it's important to you, be excited about it. You know, physically you can be beyond probably where you've ever been before. Again, looking back at how will people see you? So in every situation, if you're applying these things that we're talking about, every situation, whether that's work, family, friends, whoever it is, however you want those to see you, if you're interacting in that way, you're starting to apply yourself in that way, you're starting to act like that person right now, then within this 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months and 12 months, you are going to be further along on that journey and you're going to be nearer to where your ideal sort of by that point.
And let's be honest, what we're also trying to achieve here isn't just excitement, and we haven't put this in, but it's happiness. You know, our driving factor for all of this. Our driving factor to all of this is happiness. We are trying to sell you happiness. We're trying to make sure that you are happy with how this goes, and we're trying to make sure that you're happy with your progress in your life and how you're doing and everything else, and that creates excitement. You know, I'm on the road to success, and that will allow you, especially if you can start to see results and things like that. It's going to be great. Let's
100%. So guys, you know, but it is one of them. You are literally here. You are here now watching this video. Some of this is stuff that you've not been told before. Some of this is stuff that you've not known before. Some of it you have known. All we're saying is go and apply it. If you go and apply this, as of now, as of today, straight away, you are nearer to where you want to be. Keep doing it, keep applying it, take what we've spoken about today, keep showing up, and you are moving towards that goal. You will be nearer to that goal than you've ever been, and you're going to get beyond where you've ever been.
Are we nearly done, Josh?
This is it, last slide. So,
last slide, guys. So, yeah. So, the old story isn't true. A really important part, the old story isn't true, and it's something that I think you've got to question. When I said, what are your excuses? Just ask yourself, is that statement true? You know, and really think about that. Is that statement true?
Yeah.
For me, when someone says something or someone has a reason why they're not doing something, I always sort of question it. It's easy for me to question whether that's true because I'm sat on the outside of your snowball brain. But for you guys, you might believe it's really true at the time. But then if you just can take a step back and be like, I'm no good at this, I don't want it enough, I'm no good at willpower, I'm no good at technology. Ask yourself, is that statement true, or is it just that maybe you're not as used to it as you could be? Maybe you haven't seen the value in doing it as much as you have the bad habit that you're trying to get rid of. You know, like Josh said, there is rules to this. Learn how to play. There's rules, and there's a book, literally written, a book. We're telling it you now, do this and this will work. Confidence.
We've written a book about this.
Yeah, we have written a book about
this. Like, we have genuinely written a book about this. I've got it. It's the most expensive book you'd ever buy, but it will change your life. So, just saying.
Guys,
that is it though. All I was saying in terms of the rules was, like Jamie said, there's not one book. This is based on all of the top theories that we have seen work for people, that we've spoke to people, and that, you know, the top ideas of mindset and of coaching and things that we've applied over the last sort of 10 years and beyond ourselves, for ourselves, applied them with ourselves, but also with clients. And we've built these sort of this ethos based on that. It's not things that we're just sort of making up and saying, oh, see if this works. It's things that we've been told, tried, seen the results, and we've been told it based on all that body of research that sits behind it. So there are rules. All we need to do, I think that this is a sort of situation, motivation, mindset. People look at this as if it's not really sort of, as if it's not as solid as the rest of it, as if it's a little bit less valuable than the actual training programming or the actual nutrition.
Josh, I'm going to have to shoot, mate, because I got to get kids to bed.
You're recording this. We'll only be 30 seconds. Hang on. Okay. But guys, this, you know, it is just a case of learning the rules of it, sticking to it. It is something solid, something that you can say, if I go and apply this every day, then we're going to move forward. Be honest, confidence, be honest, and you can achieve it. Courage, make the hard decisions when needed. You know, leave your ego at the door. Just be honest with yourself. Just align that sort of confidence with your courage. Make sure that you're not, you know, that you're willing to step back, willing to be the person that you actually want to be, willing to make the decisions that align with your goals. Guys, if you do that, you are genuinely closer than you've ever been to getting to where you want to be.
Let me just say something now here, because it is in closing, and it is really important that people that are listening to this have done this, because you do not need willpower. You create motivation. So if someone's struggling to get into it, someone's struggling to stick to the diet, someone's struggling to sort of do these new things every single day, it's because you haven't done the things that we've just been speaking about. You haven't identified the reason why you're here and why it's important to you, because if you had, you would know that you really, really want to achieve this. And if you're really desperate to go into it, you know, you're saying, oh, I can't be hours training, but you do, because you don't want to be losing the progress that you've made over the past however long. You don't want to be the person in 8 weeks' time that's put a stone on. You don't want to be that. That's not really, if you ask yourself, why am I here? You don't want to be that person. So if you do that, and you do that simple exercise of why am I here? What do I want to achieve? What are my obstacles? Is that true? If you do what we've said just for the past 40 minutes, then you will not have these issues that some people have in terms of lack of motivation to train, struggle with this, struggle with that, because you were very clear. You need the clear goal. It's just like anything else. You won't set anyone that's here in business at the minute, anyone that's got business and things like that, you wouldn't try to battle through this next 8 weeks without looking at your business plan, without looking at your finances, without looking at your life, without assessing everything. Most of our clients are sort of very good at this as a business and assess everything and say, what can I do? What can I do differently? Where can I do that in business? Yet when it comes to ourselves and when it comes to controlling the thing that's the most important thing in the world to you, we sort of let it sort of slip. So Craig, I just seen your message about struggling training, but you know, can we do something? Does it have to be that workout? Can it be a walk? Can it be a jog? And yeah, I did slag jogging off, but I didn't mean for most of our clients, just mean in general. You know, can you do something that is gonna really sort of go into line with your key values and successes? So you know, just answer them questions. And if you haven't watched the videos and the webinar from last week and stuff like that, then it's no surprise that you're going to lose motivation. If you don't understand the emotional cycle of change, you know, these are things that you're like, oh yeah, Jamie said that, but you've got to go and you've got to do this little bit. I mean, go for a walk and listen to it. I think we've been talking tonight for 40 minutes. Last week it was 45 minutes. And that's really the amount of commitment that we're saying you need to be doing. And most of you, we've asked to walk at least for 45 minutes. So turn us on in your earphones, put the phones in your pocket and have that little walk and just listen to what we're saying. Maybe write a note or when you're cleaning the kitchen or whatever, just give yourself time to use this, equally as valuable as what your training program is. Because without doing this, your adherence to your program, when you're not seeing your coach every day, when you ain't got that appointment booked, you know, these are the things that make you show up and make you do it. So guys, you've got to be keeping score at the minute and you've got to be doing the things that we're asking you to do, because we know that if you don't, you're far more likely to be giving up in a couple of weeks' time.
Just in closing, guys, we are going to do a bit of a transformation challenge as well. I know that people can, just because I know how well people can do with just training at home with very little equipment. So I don't want anyone to be thinking, oh, well, you know, I'm just ticking over. What I want people to do is be seeing, and I'll be doing this myself as well, is be seeing that by training at home, by making these changes, you get on top of this, and I guarantee that your results will be beyond what you believe they could be, probably way beyond what they would have been without doing this. So guys, we are going to be getting on top of this. Yeah. We are going to be setting these challenges, making sure that you guys are ready to, you know, to get rid of your excuses and to be taking things to the next level. Again, make sure that you've watched the videos. If you're looking for our podcast, it's on, we link the podcast to the videos on Kajabi if they've got a podcast link to it. If not, it's just on the main website. Hit the tab that says podcast, and it'll take you straight to our podcast.
Just tap it in.
Podcast, awesome. Yeah, or just tap it into Apple Podcasts.
But that's not these videos, Rick, what we're talking about for this course. Don't waste your time on a podcast if you haven't already done these videos. Go back, have a look at that. So have a look.
There's a home workout plan videos. If you've not watched all of them, realistically, you need to. I know it's a small investment in time, but if you're willing to spend that fifth hour in the gym, if you're wanting to train 5 hours rather than 4, tell you what, leave the 5th hour, go and study our videos, because you will end up far better off from doing that. Jay, I am done. If you're happy to leave that.
I'm really joking. I've got to get the kids. They're banging that door downstairs, so I'm gonna go. See you later, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Again, thanks for showing up.
See you later.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks. Bye.